Alright, what is up, you guys? Sage here. Just wanted to pop in, man. Um, while I'm on my way to the gym, I really spontaneously kind of felt this, and I thought, let me just record it and get it out there while the inspiration is still up, all the motivation is still up, and while I still feel like doing it. Like, yes, I could go to the gym first, come back, and then, kind of schedule it a bit more properly. It's gonna be a bit darker out. You close the blinds, you get the ring light going, all that stuff. But I feel that you feeling what I feel, or rather being in the moment, allows you to better feel what I felt in the moment of writing this, which is it's about 11 a.m., which was pretty late for me to be going to the gym. But I was catching up on some sleep, man, because we did really push hard to be able to put ourselves in the best position to write yesterday's test, and I feel that we did that, and the result will be the result. We can't control the result. If the result's great, awesome. We get up the next day and we work again. If the result's terrible, that's tough. We get up the next day and we work again. So it's really the work itself that I'm proud of, and that I am uh yeah, glad that I could bring out of myself. So what I want to talk about today is, when I became a man, I put away childish things. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, I understood, I behaved as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. What that looks like for me is, obviously, I'm closer. So 18, you go to initiation school. And for me, I came out of there confused, really, more than anything else. Well, not more than anything else, but confused was definitely one of the primary feelings that I had, because, man, I'm a man now, but also not yet. But also will only become a man as soon as I've done these certain things. But I am a man, though. It's an interesting situation slash circumstance that you find yourself in, um, and you find yourself under this pressure where all of a sudden you're a man. What does that mean? You know, am I a man just because I went there and I did this, or do I become a man when I start to behave as one? You know, it's interesting, but it's very good to explore, and it's a very good thing to have happen, because it opens up that dialogue within your own mind. Like, what is manhood? What does it mean to be a man? You know, and what is my understanding of what a man is, what a man should do, etc. And for me, I remember being 18. I'm at home, and I go from inside outside to the corral. I decided a long time ago, a long time before that university is not going to be my go-to, especially not immediately. It wasn't necessarily a thing of, man, I'm never going to study again, but I was very open to never studying again. And for me, it was a thing of, I have a dream and I want to chase it. I just want to get out there. I want to work. I want to apply myself, and I want to just get out there into the real world. And I want to feel what the real world feels like before I make any decisions. And so, sport, rugby, for me particularly, was the first thing that I went to. But I knew that before I could do that, I needed to put some size on. And in order to put some size on, well, you need lots and lots of food, which is not something that I had a ridiculous amount of access to at that time. And so, another thing I didn't want to be, because I'm a man, right, is a burden onto other people to try and sponsor this journey that I want to go on. And so I remember, because I'm training so hard, you get a lot hungrier than the average person. And so I'm saying that to put it in context, that I was like, I'm hungry right now, starving almost. And there it's dark outside because there was load shedding. I go to the back, this the very, very back corner of the house we were living in at that time. There was a little corral there with a little bench type thing. And I go and sit on the bench, and there are tears in my eyes. I'm crying, even thinking to myself, man, I don't know, like, or thinking to myself, well, under these circumstances, it would be impossible for me to at least attempt to achieve my dream of, at the time, it was of becoming a professional rugby player. Because yes, I understood very well that it is, or it would be too late for a lot of people, but I'm like, it's not too late for me because I did start late. I did start at 14. I didn't have it under 16 year, and yet I was still able to get a cap in first team when I got to that age where I could. When I got to matric, I got a first team cap on the wing as a flank. So I'm like, there's definitely something in here where if I really gave, I could do something incredible that no one ever thought that I could. And so I'm sitting there, tears in my eyes, thinking, man, I've got to put my all in this. Next day I get up, boom, go apply to jobs. Say a week goes by, a couple weeks go by. I'm thinking, damn, well, it didn't happen. I get a call. Eventually, I'm working. Now I say that to say no one ever pushed me to go get a job, to go get my first job. No one ever pushed me, because my parents, regardless of what I may say about them in any other circumstance or what they may say about me, we love each other very much, and they've never put any unnecessary pressure on me to go do something that would not be good for me or productive for me, and that would be unreasonable to ask. Not that it would be unreasonable for a parent to ask a child to go work, but do you understand like the dynamic of that, or how that sounds, or how it would look, from their side to me being like, yo bro, get off your lazy ass. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was never the circumstance. I was always the type of guy who was like doing stuff around the house, etc. But then I had my own goals, my own visions, and so I took it upon myself to execute on those. Now, is that the moment when I became a man? Because yes, we will concede that traditionally I've been a man since 18, no doubt, no doubt, fully, um, and there can be no doubt about that. You know what I'm saying? But then we also understood the concept even from then that through actions one truly becomes a man. And I heard this Eric Thomas speech, which was, and in which he's reciting a Bible verse, but he didn't explicitly say that he was reciting a Bible. So it was just words from him that I was hearing, and it's just I've always had this ability, hence they call me sage, to understand, capture, and retain just incredibly profound words and terms, and to be able to notice that, wow, this is actually a very deep thing that is encapsulated in a couple of sentences, which is, when I became a man, I put away childish things, and I was like, damn. And so from that moment, and okay, you can say that that was a moment, right? Let's put these two things together. You can say, okay, through action, boom, this guy gets up and he decides to go get a job, like, because he has dreams that he wants to achieve, and the he's taking the action upon himself. He's taking it upon himself to do the actions. That is a very manly thing to do. So is that when I became a man? Is that when I put away childish things? It was like, well, when I did work at that job, yes, I was, say I was 60%, 70% locked in, but there's still that 30% that still wanted to, play with the other children. You wanted to have some girls around. You wanted to do those things. In my mind now, although there are people who still do those things that I wouldn't want to insult, again, it is one's own definition and one's own, like, what your capacity is, what's within you, and what you believe. And so if you don't believe that is a childish thing to go around chasing skirt, then it's 100% within your right. And I'm not gonna, for example, I don't cast my standards of me unto anyone else. You know what I'm saying? I don't cast my standards onto anyone else. So when you take the time off, when you don't work out, I'm not thinking, "Oh, yeah, this guy pussy, oh, he doesn't work out." No, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, he just doesn't feel that that's something that he needs or wants within his life. You know what I'm saying? In another place, in another time, I don't even work out. If I never get into, that's not true. I think I started working out before I got into sport. But if whatever, if I never see the Rock videos, if I never see whatever the situation may be, then I never get into it. So I don't cast those judgments, because in another place, in another time, I would be a different person altogether. But sure, working out I cast on to me, chasing skirt, it's something that I look at, and I'm very at odds about, right? Because obviously it is a very naturally masculine thing to want feminine energy around you, and I don't think that that is a terrible thing. But at the same time, there does come a spot where, like we talked about, or rather, there was a man who had mentioned the words, "Who knows?" Or he said, I'm not even close to what my potential would be if I had sexual discipline. So sexual discipline is something that I think of, not chasing skirt, that type of stuff, which I was still doing at that time. So maybe I became the man I am today when I decided to put that away, you know. And then there's last year, 2024, around about my birthday time. I've failed the umpteenth time to get my license, and despite being able to drive really well, which is really nutty, especially for someone who, again, we've talked about who I was at 18, and the amount of drive and motivation that I had, and what I went out and actually did in terms of my rugby to put myself in a position where I was getting calls from scouts at the Lions, and was setting myself up in that position to truly do what I had set out to do at 18. At 19, so we're okay, yeah, we're 18 in 2022, 2023. We'd say that's the year of 19, but I was still 18 years old when we had that moment in the corral. And then at 20, something else happens where I'm in the circumstance, umpteenth time I've failed. I'm deep into this rugby thing now. The call ups have happened. All that stuff is going on. But there's a moment of temporary injury, very very small injury. But I get to sit down and I get to think about my life and in what direction it's headed in. And it was at that moment that I decided that I'm chasing the dream of a 14-year-old, 15-year-old that, with my new gained perspective, does not seem to be conducive to who I would maximally be. Meaning, I have the ability to speak at a really high level. I have the ability to think at a really high level. I have the ability to formulate thought, organize, plan, work with large groups of people, coordinate in order to achieve things. And the things that I'm interested in achieving are at a much larger scale and magnitude than what being in any sport would allow me to do. Or rather, if I was in a sport, then I'd be dedicating maybe the best years of my life to the sport, and then I would be chasing this larger thing that would be greater to humanity as a whole on a larger scale. I would be chasing that as a sort of side quest or as a second string thing, and the best years of my life would have been given to the sport. And maybe the day that I decided to stop playing rugby is that the day when I became a man because I put away childish things. Because for me, and again, I don't judge people who still play rugby. I don't judge rugby players who are at the doing it at the highest level, because they're, come on, you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars, millions of euros to provide for your family, to entertain, to be a gladiator out there. You strap huge respect to all people, man. If you're a club rugby player, local club rugby, you are inspiring kids to get themselves out of the street. In order to play rugby, you need to be strong. You need to have your nutrition correct. You need to, and so you're inspiring kids to get themselves out of the darndest corners and the darkest situations into a sport that is going to put them in a position to have better lives for themselves. It gives them discipline, and then they may take themselves out of the drug situation, go get themselves into a working situation where they have a job. They're a functional member of society thanks to. So I'm not judging anyone who is in that situation now, but for myself at that time, who knew what I could do and what I felt I was called to do that is outside of the sport, and how beneficial to society that would be. For me, it would be a childish thing to hold on to that and not cut that off and put it away. And so that may be the day. But now, this is my 21st birthday is in a couple of months. It's June now. It's 2 months away from now, and it's the 18th, so it's actually round about 2 months. My birthday's on the 16th of August, so we're round about exactly 2 months away from my 21st. And looking back now, reflecting from the position and the standpoint that I'm at now, where I've cut that off, I've put it away, I've chosen to pursue. Like from that moment, you don't understand that I knew that I would never be the same from the moment that I decided, because you don't understand how deeply passionate I was about rugby. I was training rugby every single day. I'm training in the weight room in order to be as strong and powerful as possible for rugby. My job at that time was coaching rugby. Like if like I was rugby, because you if you want to be the best of the best, you have to be it, not talk about it. It has to consume you. It has to take over you. And I was that, and I became that even at that time. Is the mentality that I had and what I understood. And so for someone who's consumed by something to put it away, it really took gusto. It really took standing up within myself and saying, "May the real Oamoe please stand up. May the real me please stand up." Because there are certain things in certain situations where you see your name reflected. For example, if you see even within school in my younger years, obviously did excellently initially, and then dropped off because I was distracted by other things, other people, etc. And I'm grateful for it because it leads me to be where I am today and leads me to be who I am today. And so I'm grateful that I fell off. I'm grateful that I didn't pay attention. I'm grateful that I didn't finish school fantastically, because it put me in the position and the mentality that I'm in today. Because I understand what the other side of the coin is, and I understand what it looks like when you don't apply yourself, and I understand what it looks like when you do, and I understand the sacrifices on either side. And from there, you get to choose, right, which one you prefer. What I'm saying is, from that moment when I'd cut off that part of myself, from the moment when I became the man that I am today, who can't even spend too much time away from my craft, can't spend too much time away from pouring into myself. I can't spend too much time away from the weight room, even if I tried. I can't spend too much time away from producing, even if I tried. I can't spend too much time away from developing myself, developing my craft, working in business, networking, like every single thing that has to do with who I am today. I can't spend too much time away from that. And so as the person I am now, reflecting back, I can't help but look at those key pivotal moments, starting from becoming a man traditionally, and then the incremental improvement and the incremental cutting off of the childish things to become the man I am today. I can't help but whenever I hear what I now understand to be a Bible verse that I had initially heard from a motivational speaker, and even as a person who believes in Xhosa traditional religion, I still can't help but look at those words and be reminded within myself that when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, I understood, I behaved as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And that's not to say that I'm finished becoming. I'm nowhere near who I would like to be. I'm nowhere near where I would like to be. And that's why we can trace it all the way back to when I became a man. Because it is not to say that you are complete in your journey, but it is to say that this is the beginning of that journey where you can truly say that you're now putting yourself in a position. Because I'm one of those kids where I was like 16, 17 thinking, Suga, I'm more of a man than that guy. That guy doesn't stand up within himself. He doesn't do this, doesn't do that. But what you have to understand is there's a different perspective that you get after you've experienced that level and depth of pain. And so, although that isn't the end of your journey, it is certainly a marker, a landmark of the beginning. And when you can say, when I became a man, I started to put away childish things. And it is the incremental improvement towards leaving all childish things and becoming the man that you were born to be. Hope you have in fact enjoyed today's video. If you have, please do hit that subscribe button. I have been Sage. Standing on bro, I can't even do my side angles thing. Standing on business. Signing out.